One of the most important aspects of any puzzle game is the construction of a mental model. Core mechanics, interaction possibilities, and any other principle the player has to understand first before being able to properly deduce the solution to a puzzle on their own. The mental model is not about what specific challenges a player is going to encounter, but the manner of thinking they should employ when approaching them. And Portal starts teaching the required mental model very effectively. As we wait in a so-called relaxation chamber, the artificial intelligence GLaDOS welcomes us to Aperture Science and tells about upcoming tests we will be performing. After this brief introduction, portals open, connecting the inside and outside of the chamber. The portals are framed specifically in such a way so we could see ourselves on the other side. Thus, we instantly get an understanding that this game called Portal is indeed about portals being placed in an actual 3D space. Sounds funny when putting it like that, but explaining that a portal is a literal window connecting two parts of a level we can freely go through is extremely important, and the game manages to do that through simple yet effective framing. To exit this test chamber, we have to walk through a door that is opened only while a connected button is pressed. Here we learn to pick up and move physical objects and place a cube on the button so we could reach the exit. This adds reaching the elevator at the end of each test to our mental model as a goal we always strive for while doing the puzzles. That's our motivation. The next chamber has a similar challenge. We have to place a cube on a button, but now the cube, the button, and our starting location are separated through glass, and each section can't be accessed without portals. This time, one portal is static while another keeps switching between sections. In terms of mechanics, this teaches that portals can dynamically connect to different parts of a room. And in terms of our mental model, we understand that the game will have spaces that can be accessed only through portals, and any object can go through them, not just us. Only after these basics are set in our mind do we enter the chamber with a portal gun. Except, it's not fully functional yet. The game has shown that there is a blue and an orange portal, but the first portal gun lets us shoot only the blue one. It's because Portal wants to make sure that observing the 3D space to understand how one can move through it also becomes part of our mental model, as evidenced by the next test chamber. It is structured similarly to a jumping tutorial in a platformer, only jumping is useless in this case, the platforms are too far away. We have to open a blue portal to get to where the orange one is, and then shoot another blue portal at a new location to go back through the orange one towards our final destination. With this, Portal finishes up setting the foundations of our core mental model we have to use for successfully completing the game. It presents us with a little test that combines all the elements we have encountered before, so it proves that, yeah, we get how Portal is supposed to be played and how we should be thinking with portals. From here on out, Portal can handle escalation, which happens across multiple axes. First, of course, while the mental model foundation has been defined, it can't stay the same throughout the entire experience, even if the core campaign is about 3 hours long in the first attempt. It will just get boring that way. So from time to time, Portal adds new concepts to the model, like how only the special, wider surfaces are actually suitable for portals, or how going through a portal keeps the character's momentum, which means that we can jump into a portal from above to then fling ourselves somewhere horizontally, crossing distances far larger than we could ever normally. And there is no fall damage, so we don't have to worry about that. The second axis is level elements and obstacles. Portal consistently adds something new. Deadly energy pellets that can also activate special switches, moving platforms, toxic water, turrets shooting at any human in front of them. And all of these are combined in such a way as to progress on the third axis, that of complexity. When the game feels we're ready for that, it provides an upgrade to the portal gun, allowing to shoot orange ones as well, and thus we get full control over solving puzzles. With each test chamber, puzzles have to become more elaborate, but they also have to remain readable. As such, Portal uses a pretty consistent visual language that hints towards certain actions. Like some wall segments are extended forward a bit, indicating that this is a place from where you can fling yourself with enough momentum, and now the challenge is to figure out how to make that possible. As we go through the game, puzzles also become deadlier, and GLaDOS starts acting weirder. Something fishy is definitely going on. Although, she keeps promising cake, so there is nothing to worry about, right? In one of the later test chambers, GLaDOS presents us with a special cube that's got a heart on it, the Companion Cube. Now, in terms of gameplay, this cube is special because to properly beat the chamber, we have to take it across all obstacles, so that's a great way to make it stand out and make sure players don't leave it at the beginning. Narratively speaking though, GLaDOS keeps focusing on how this cube is our friend and should be protected, and then blocks our progress unless we throw it into the incinerator at the end of the test chamber.
You euthanized your faithful companion cube more quickly than any test subject on record. Congratulations.
I can't say that's a shocking moment. Companion Cube should have been a companion for much longer than a single chamber for that to sting, but the AI's sadistic qualities really start to show here. And after completing the final test chamber, there is no cake. Only an incinerator where GLaDOS plans to do the same with us we did with that cube. But she didn't account for the fact that we have a portal gun and there are walls that can have portals spawn on them, so if we're not too slow, we can start our escape.
Thank you for participating in this Aperture Science computer-aided enrichment activity. Goodbye. What are you doing? Stop it. We are pleased that you made it through the final challenge where we pretended we were going to murder you. We are very happy for your success. We are throwing a party in honor of your tremendous success.
Now, when this moment happens, we're about 2/3 of our way through the main campaign. So the timing is perfect to get free of the test chamber specifically designed challenges and use our knowledge in environments not artificially designed for portals as we attempt to escape this madness. Only this doesn't quite happen? The environments change, yes, and for what it's worth, there is no clear test chamber denomination anymore and levels flow much more smoothly one into another. There's no more clear elevator separators causing a little correction of our mental model. But here's the thing, the levels still feel like test chambers. Just a little bit more complex, mainly due to portal-appropriate surfaces not standing out as much, but the design principles are very similar. In fact, a lot of situations are literally test chamber challenges with increased difficulty. Oh, you have to use moving platforms in test chambers? Well, now it's pistons that fully slide into a wall, so if you're not quick enough, you will fall down. Oh, you had to do some portal jump chains? Well, now you have to do a lot of jump chains, stuff like that. There is very few situations where you have to use environments in a new, creative way, like putting one portal on an unreachable floor and another on a ceiling that keeps getting crushed by a piston, so you use it as a sort of elevator. That's a cool recontextualization of non-test specific obstacles, but there is very few of these kinds of challenges in this third of the game. As a result, getting out of Aperture doesn't feel as much as a daring, desperate escape where we have to improvise and more like, well, more tests. Simply because what we have to do often remains so similar with the same design principles nudging towards the solution. There's a part where you have to draw a rocket launcher's fire onto a tube to break it and get a cube so you could climb a vent. However, there is a bunch of chairs in the offices nearby and they can be used for the same purpose. It's not portal related per se, but this kind of stuff feels cool, like you're not following test rules anymore. Of course, if you're skilled enough, there are ways to sort of sequence break all the challenges, but my point is not that this is not possible, my point is that the escape part still feels like test chambers, not improvisational enough. This actually affects the emotional resonance of the final boss battle with GLaDOS. It's pretty much just a check of several skills we have learned before. Make a rocket launcher hit GLaDOS through a portal, take one of her personality cores and incinerate it. Only one of these personality cores is on a platform we have to flee towards through portals, and another is in the air so we have to catch it while falling. The only reason this part feels special is because GLaDOS's dialogue as with his mental various personalities gets truly unhinged, and well, actually funny.
I invited your best friend and companion Cube. Of course, he couldn't come couldn't come either because you don't have any other friends, because of how unlikable you are. It says so right here in your personnel file. Unlikable. Liked by no one. A bitter, unlikable loner whose passing shall not be mourned. Shall not be mourned. That's exactly what it says. Very formal. Very official.
It's not that some of GLaDOS's dry, sarcastic demeanor was unfunny before, it's just that, well, it was chuckle-worthy at most. Too bad GLaDOS truly gets to shine only here at the end as we finally destroy the AI and escape the Aperture facility. Or do we?
Thank you for assuming the potty escort submission position.
In the currently available versions, the ending was slightly modified to better hook into a future sequel, but regardless, the game is over, and so it is time to rate it with the Stasocritic system. Stasocritic is my own scoring system with 5 various categories of different weights. Each category can have scores from 0 to 10 assigned to it depending on the specific criteria. This is not a replacement of any of my arguments, just essentially a summary for fun. The first category is design, that has a weight of 4, the biggest one, as the way a game is played and structured defines your experience the most. I will assign a 9. The 19 test chambers are perfect for the scope and purposes of Portal, and a masterclass of setting up a mental model required to complete puzzles while escalating them in a proper manner. However, things aren't as clear-cut once we realize GLaDOS wants to kill us and we make our daring escape. Even though the environments change, their design is still very test chambery. The game doesn't let players take full advantage of their mental model they have been finessing, which culminates in a boss battle that just feels like a retread of some actions we were doing all this time. None of it is bad, and to be honest, it would have worked if the whole game was just about tests. But Portal contextualizes its last third as an escape through uncharted territory, both in story and gameplay, and most of the last third of the game just doesn't quite cut it for that. The next category is emotions. It has a weight of 3, since while personal feelings are subjective, at the end of the day they matter a lot. I will assign a 7. Even back when Portal was released, I never really cared much for it. It's a fantastic little puzzle game, but it never really truly grabbed me. And honestly, I don't find GLaDOS that engaging of a rogue AI until we start dismantling her various personality cores, but as mentioned before, at that point it's the end of the game. The moment when we almost got incinerated was pretty memorable though, but that's just one moment, not enough for a higher score. Now, let's discuss cohesion, a category with a weight of 2 that's about how well the game connects all of its various aspects together into a singular, holistic experience. I will assign a 9. Portal is clearly a game whose world-building, premise, characters, and even overall visual style has been built entirely around the gameplay mechanics. Such mechanics-centered approach often leads to abstractions that we just have to accept because, well, it's a game. But Portal manages to implement everything in a very immersive way. It doesn't feel like just an abstract game with portals where some things are the way they are just because. To be honest, the only reason I'm not assigning a 10 is the same as for the design category. The last third of the game feels like test chambers rather than an escape, it's just the chambers are browner now, and that creates a considerable relative to the length of the game disconnect between what we're feeling and what our character is feeling. Next, we have context, a category that's all about writing, characters, world, and well, everything that provides context. I will assign a 7. Even though it works for the purposes of immersiveness, contextually the game is just... well, it's just enjoyable, which is not a bad thing, of course. GLaDOS is a cool character, but she could have been even cooler. A company doing weird lab test experiments where everything goes wrong as an AI gets extremely sadistic and murderous is a cool premise for environmental storytelling, but for the most part, Portal doesn't really take advantage of that. And finally, aesthetics. A category about visuals, sound design, etc. I will definitely assign a 10. Portal has a very distinct visual style that perfectly encapsulates all the required gameplay affordances while fitting into the overall world it builds. And it's done in a very polished way. The voice acting is amazing, not just that of GLaDOS but Turrets as well. Sound design is minimalistic, but that just helps with a sense of isolation. And the credits song is simply a masterpiece, not much else to say here. In the end, after all scores and their weights are taken into account, Portal is going to get a final Stasocritic rating of 84. It's simply a great game. Mind you, Stasocritic is balanced in such a way that getting to 90 or higher is really difficult. So a game that gets an 84 is truly a great example of its respective genre, a must-try for fans of such a style of games, and even those who don't usually play them might still enjoy it. Portal might be short, but it's immersive, has great design, progression and atmosphere. You just really can't go wrong with it, and if you like Portal very much, it's got additional challenge content, while the Xbox 360 and Switch versions have special Still Alive levels that can be downloaded onto PC as a mod, so there's also ways to extend the experience should you so desire. So yeah, not much else to say, Portal is just a great game.
Aperture Science. We do what we must because we can. For the good of all of us, except the ones who are dead. But there's no sense crying over every mistake. You just keep on trying till you run out of cake. And the science gets done and you make a neat gun for the people who are still alive.